Hello everyone, welcome back to this second video on communication effectiveness for business development and sales professionals. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about certain thoughts that prevent us sometimes from being effective. And it's pretty much the internal talk. I think sometimes these misconceptions in our own mind clog up what we think. And obviously our thoughts guide our behaviors. And some of these behaviors may not necessarily be the more constructive ones, just because our thoughts that led to them obviously prevent us from doing so. So let me just walk you through those thoughts that in working with people from over 25 countries on the ground, and even by now 190 countries around the globe online. One thing that I've noticed time and time again is that these 7 key thoughts really, if you free yourself up from them, can help you to get better results. So let's have a look at it right now here. First one is, I need to work harder. We already said it before. If we keep thinking that it's all a matter of quantity, meaning putting in longer hours, longer days, coming back home drained and exhausted, that's obviously not going to work for you. Yes, it's important to put in the right efforts. At the same time, we also know that quality is important. The second one then is cold calling doesn't work. I see time and time again, especially nowadays with a lot of Facebook advertising where people say, no, don't go to cold calling, it's old school, doesn't work, people don't like it and the likes. I really would like you to consider at least opening yourself up to the idea that if cold calling can help you help other people more effectively, just because otherwise those people would not find you, you actually are doing them a service by picking up the phone, introducing yourself and asking for a meeting and getting it. Because sometimes people have a pressing need that only you can fix, and if you're not really making an effort to connect with them in some shape or form, or you are just not finding ways to do it, proactive business development such as cold calling could help you to reach out to them in many different ways. However, it all means that you are reaching out proactively to somebody who may need your services or products, and that you find ways to actually sit down together and look at a value proposition. I have seen several times in my own business that us reaching out to complete strangers and establishing a meeting, that really helped our business to grow sometimes 42% per year, just by and by the way, referrals and networking amounted to the other part. But seriously, the largest chunk of our net new business was purely on the basis of cold calling. So there's definitely a methodology where you can do it with integrity and you can do it really professionally speaking as well, that also gets you the results. Now, third one, we sometimes think that it's a hit and miss. It's a hit and miss. We're just putting in the time and sometimes it will stick, other times it won't. Guess what? It doesn't have to be that way, as I already mentioned to you before. I also catch sometimes people thinking in their own mind that they are a certain way themselves, they have certain behaviors, and they just want people to accept them the way they are. Now that's all fine, and from an ethical, even philosophical and anthropological point of view, I fully agree with that. The challenge though is that your style may not be right for a client, and some of your behaviors they actually may not appreciate. And so you can try to convince them of accepting you the way you are, or flip your thinking around it, become more agile and flexible, and think, look, if there's certain things that I would do normally because it's comfortable to me that would upset people or offend them or would not make them feel comfortable around me, why don't I change my style? Not in order for me to alienate myself, but in order for them to become more comfortable in my presence. It's just about that. It's about becoming more flexible, more agile, rather than being very dogmatic about it and thinking that you can only behave in certain ways. Guess what? You're a flexible organism. Your brain. There's something called brain plasticity that allows you to remodel your brain to allow yourself to do things, to be more, to have more, and the likes the way you want it. So to the extent that you use that brain flexibility of yours, that plasticity of your brain, you will become more effective. You will become more influential. You will earn more money as a result. And so this is me. I want to be real. Yes, you can be real, but you can also be more flexible. And now it's up to you to decide to do so. Thought number 5, very, very widespread. Sometimes people say, I don't like asking for the business. I take people through the information, I send it to them, I email it to them, I present it to them, and then I just wait for the client to say, oh, well, you know what, let's go ahead with it. You know what, guess what? Once again, you could embrace the thought that sometimes certain people, certain styles who may be quite different to you, if you feel uncomfortable about it, others actually feel very comfortable when you do ask. And they would actually, on the opposite side of the scale, be almost feel uncomfortable or feel actually disserviced by you if you fail to ask for the business at the right time. So it's about timing. It's about reading people's style and then giving them what they want. If they want you to ask for the business confidently, professionally, why don't you do so, right? It's about you just reading the situation and giving people what they're after. Typical thought number 6, people should come and see me. Now I see this time and time again, particularly with technical experts who've got a lot of credentials, who've educated them highly. You know, your knowledge workers, your lawyers, your accountants, your engineers, your architects and the like. People who classically have had the luxury of people ringing in their office saying, hey, I'd like to come and see you, and then being able to bill for the hours, for the time of theirs. Guess what? In today's day and age, there's so much more competition. There's so many more, people are so much more educated. They can easily find a lot of information online and not necessarily need you anymore as much as they did previously. So are you going to stay put in the past and expecting things to somehow still work that way? Or are you going to move along with the future, with the present times that allow you to say, well, look, if people are not coming to see me, it's up to me to actually find proactive ways to re-engage with them or find them or help them find me. And it's not just your old school marketing that will help you get there. Sometimes it's just about proactively reaching out to them. And last but not least, number 7, it's very hard to win tenders. This is one of those other thoughts that sometimes people subscribe to. And I would like you to think about it from a different angle. Because as long as you think that it is hard, your results will be in line with that. They will be consistent with your thinking. However, I know that there's definitely ways for you to increase your effectiveness of your tenders. You being able to win more tenders if only you were to slightly change your way. So let's talk about that. Before we talk about the behaviors, I'd like you now to think about different ways to specifically program your mind for success. Now, my background is in psychology, and I know that the attitude, the thoughts we treasure, the expectations we have, the beliefs we have, that they can really make us or really break us. I would like to help you to make your success rather than to break it, okay? Let's now look at it, how you can reprogram your mind with new affirmations that almost override these old thoughts that actually hamper your performance. Going through them one step at a time. The first one was, I need to work harder, is one thought that you may want to let go of. And instead, replace it with a positive affirmation that says, I adopt ways to work smarter, right? Here it's working harder, there it is about working smarter. And you consciously choose and adopt ways to work smarter. So that would be the first one. Number 2, cold calling doesn't work anymore. Let's now look at how we could rephrase that one and recalibrate our own mind. You could say an affirmation such as, I recognize the value of cold calling and become excellent at it. Which means it's like any skill set in the world. There's always certain people that have developed their skill sets to a certain level and get really great results with it, whilst others have got very little skills and obviously they have very little results. So it's not a matter of whether cold calling works or doesn't work, it's just a matter of finding the right ways to make it work for you. And so I recognize the value of cold calling and become excellent at it. If this is something that you would like to take on, it will help you to feel more comfortable the more and more you say these type of affirmations to your own mind. And then obviously do your research, study, and develop the skill set in that area. Now thought number 3. it's a hit and miss approach. It's hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's leave that in the past, and now let's look at how you can, again, program your mind for success. I become more effective by applying a proven formula. So I become more effective at applying a proven formula. It's all about formulas. You know it. In anything else you do, riding a bicycle, driving a car, entering some data in your CRM system, producing a compliance report, there's always certain steps, there's a formula. And certain formulas are helpful, others are not. So find good formulas. So instead of hit and miss, I become effective by applying a proven formula. Thought number 4. This is me. I want to be real. I want to be authentic. Perfectly fine. Here is also now a way to somehow go with the same line of thought, but deepen it in a way that allows you to become more successful. By becoming more agile, I am of service to more and more customers. So by becoming more agile, more flexible, I am of service to more and more customers. Because once again, the challenge is, if you are not finding ways to convince certain clients to take your products and services on board, you are doing them a disservice, especially if your solutions are the best ones in the field. Would you agree? So doing them a service means that you actually find ways to make people feel more comfortable in your presence. And that's really, again, about just thinking about it slightly differently. Thought number 5 now. I don't like asking for the business. That's one that we'd like to leave in the past. Consider now the next one. It is again an affirmation, a suggestion of mine for you to take on. You could say, for example, I treat people the way they want to be treated and ask them for the business when the time is right. So, I treat people the way that they want to be treated rather than how I would like to be treated. So it's not about me, it's about them. So I treat them the way that they want to be treated, and I ask for the business when the time is right. Also, obviously, in a style that suits them. And so it's again about effectiveness. It's not necessarily quantity, it's more quality of meetings and communicating in a way that suits the people that you're engaging with. Thought number 6. People should come and see me. Once again, very typical for technically trained experts or knowledge workers. Let's now have a look what we got here on the right-hand side. I am proactive and find people who need me. So here it's a waiting, meaning a reactive approach in our old thinking. Here we're adopting a more proactive way of thinking, and we say that it's up to us to help people find us, or for us to help to find them so that we can be of service. The more we can find ways for people to either find us or we find them as they have an issue that we can solve, the more we are of service. That's really about the proactive mindset and one of wanting to be of service to many. And last but not least, number 7 this time. It's very hard to win tenders. That's obviously a self-limiting belief. So if we toss that one out of the window and we go to the right-hand side once again, we could say and affirm to ourselves on a daily basis, I apply proven ways to win more tenders. And it's again about finding proven ways to win more tenders. I hope this was helpful. Old school thinking or sometimes negative thinking that hampers your performance, then rewriting it and overriding it with more positive, more engaging, more proactive type of ways to think more and act more effectively with your clients. This is the end of our second video here on this series on communication as it pertains to business development and sales professionals. I look forward to seeing you again in our third video. Thank you so much and see you soon.